Hey everyone, Leo with Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our Cocoa Cup treat box. You can see the prototype here in front of me. Again, I mentioned this in the last video, how the prototype is super cute just with basic papers. Now obviously we're jazzing it up with some glitters and such, but even with just basic cardstock, it looks fantastic. So we have a box for the main structure, but then there's just a simple overlay that's going to give it the full vibe. And what we're going to do is just kind of start with that, okay? So we have this piece here, and you can see that it's shaped like the actual mug. And we're going to begin by gluing down this brown piece, which I did strategically hit with a little bit of brown ink, mostly just on the sections that are going to be visible, okay? Because some of those areas are going to be covered up with other elements, so you don't need to waste your time inking things that you're going to ultimately cover up, because that's just silly. But let's go ahead and begin applying this to the other piece. Nice and easy with the glue, nice thin lines of blue. Okay, and I'm using the gingerbread man's head here as my initial kind of visual cue for placement. And then, of course, just working my way around, making sure that everything fits nice and snug and everything is nice and flush. Then we'll press that down. Okay, next, I have this beautiful glitter paper. And this is from 12 by 12 cardstock shop. It's called Ballerina. So it's a white glitter with little hints of like a red or a pink. Okay, and now these little sections here, they're kind of free floating. So I'm going to start again by applying the gingerbread man's head first, and then I'll just be very careful making sure that these three little sections fall into place correctly, because they have a little bit of a give to them, okay? And we want to make sure that everything lines up correctly. So I've got the gingerbread man first, and I'll kind of let it go, and then just very carefully, each little section, just make sure that it all lines up accurately, like so. And we'll press that down. There we go. And then, of course, we have little spots here for some sprinkles. And these are pretty petite. And all you're going to need is just a few little tiny dots of glue. And you can place them wherever you'd like. They're all the same size. I'm just going to follow our prototype and do it the same way we had it there, but you're more than welcome to kind of mix it up and place them wherever you want. Okay. The little gingerbread man, you can glue him down flat, or on our prototype we actually have him foam squared. I think it looks I don't know if I want to foam square it, because he kind of looks like someone ate the bottom part of his body when it's foam squared, but either way, whatever you want to do. And we're just adding sprinkles. Could you imagine actually adding sprinkles like this manually when you're making something with sprinkles? I bet they do this for ads. Okay, and we'll grab a pink one. With the exception of these little tiny pieces, I feel like this is also maybe a project for a child that they could help you with. I don't see why not. Okay, we'll add a green sprinkle. And then we'll just start working our way down to it's like a little gingerbread house, I guess you can call it. There we go. And if you need to, grab yourself like a little, well, this hibachi stick we're going to use because we've got a little peppermint lollipop that we're going to put inside of this, just to kind of give it a little extra charm, if you will. And I was just using that to kind of push the sprinkles in. Got two more red ones actually, and then we're good on the sprinkles. Okay. Very cute little project. There's that, and one left. And this is definitely one of those that you can mass produce. The structure itself is super quick and easy to put together. Now this glitter paper is so thin, sometimes it's hard to even get your finger on it. That's why I'm using this hibachi to really pop it in place. Okay, looks good so far. Now we're going to work our way down to the windows. And I feel like I'm missing a piece here. Where did it go? No, I'm not actually. All right, so one window is separate. The other one, the brown portion, is actually connected to the brown piece that we already glued in place. So don't freak out. And we're going to glue this red glitter piece to the brown. Try to get that on as accurately as you can. I'm going to flip this over and push from the other side. There we go. Remove any excess. You could technically, if you wanted to, use a little foam square to sort of elevate this little windowsill. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to glue this down flat. I think that if they made thinner foam squares, I might consider it, but I think it's a little too much. And then you can take and apply some glue to the entire back of this window, and you'll see that there's a set of markers here. They're like little L shapes. One's an L, one's a reverse L. Just get it right in between those two and pop that into place. Okay, and then we can go over to the other window now. Now this one's already there, so we don't have a separate brown piece. We're just going to take this red glitter part and glue that right to that existing piece that's already there. And as I always say, if you feel like you got too much glue in any little area, just dab it with your finger so that when you do apply it, it doesn't go squirting all over the place and blemishing your beautiful cardstock. The darker the cardstock, the more likely it is to kind of leave a residue. So just be careful there. That looks good. And we'll take our other green piece here and pop that right on top for the little windowsill. Beautiful. Okay, a little moving around on me a little bit. There we go. Okay, good deal. Let's take a look at our door. And we're going to start with this brown piece. And you can see that there's a set of markers here to help you with the positioning of the door so that we get it nice and centered. Okay, this bottom part should be flush with the bottom of this panel. Just make sure that we start there and then use the little markers to guide you with the placement of the rest of it. Okay, grab your little green circle for the doorknob and just pop a little dot of glue in there. And then pop that right in there. Again, I said this during the last video, circles are still issues for these cutting machines. They just don't seem to cut them very well. That's okay. All right, next, we're going to grab this white piece, this full white piece that extends all the way down. Okay, and that's going to get popped right on top of the brown. Again, making sure that it's flush with the bottom. And by the way, pay attention to these little icicles, I'll call them. The longest one here is going to be on the left-hand side. So make sure you pop that on there correctly and that it's not on the right. You know, depending on the paper you use, it may be obvious, but this paper, this pearlescent paper that I'm using, is the same on both sides. So you can easily get that confused, and don't do that. Okay, get that lined up. Whoops. Kind of shifted on me a little bit. There we go. Should be flush out to the edge. Looking good. Next, we're going to apply this glitter piece. And I'm not a fan of this glitter. It's super thin. It works, it looks really nice, but it's kind of hard to work with, and I almost don't trust it. But we're gonna use it this time. May opt not to use it in the future, but we'll see. All right, I'm gonna start by kind of getting the icicle portions in place first, because the little vertical parts on the left and right hand side of the door, they are kind of like free floating. They have minds of their own, and you want to make sure that they are in the correct spot. There we go. Just like that. That looks good. Okay, and then put a little bit of icing on top. Make sure that, again, this is a white pearlescent that's actually the same on both sides. If you're using something similar, just make sure you have the orientation correct. And just lining up the little icicles. Now this is pearlescent going on glitter, so I'm not exactly sure how quickly it's going to grab. Looks like it's grabbing pretty quick, so that's good. Okay, next there's a little window on the door, and we cut this out of that same ballerina glitter. Just threw a few little dots on there. It's a pretty petite little piece. Pretty petite little piece. And we'll get that lined up. Flip that over, press down, give it a real firm press, and then apply your glue. And you can see that there is a set of markers here to help you with the positioning of this, so it's, again, nice and centered. Of course, take a look at it visually and just make sure that it looks good. That looks good. Okay, and then we do have, of course, there's a little peppermint heart. I'm going to get this glued on. I am going to foam square this one. And this is that pearlescent going on top of the glitter. I think what I'm going to do with this is actually just put this underneath my mat and let it dry before I do anything else. That looks really cute. All right, I'm going to take this and put it under my mat because we're going to foam square this right here once we're all done with it. And then let's take our little gingerbread man. We have this pearlescent piece to create a little offset background for him. And then we have a little bow tie for him as well. Make sure that the bottom of our gingerbread man is flush with the bottom of this shadow layer. Okay, make sure it's nice and aligned. Press him down. Let's grab our little bow here. And what I would do is grab this little hibachi stick, firmly hold his little tie with your fingers, and then take the hibachi stick and just kind of start, place it between a finger. Oops, place this loop. Place this half of the bow tie between your finger and your dowel or hibachi stick. Lift it up about 90 degrees and then run the hibachi stick through, and you can see I'm kind of curving it. We're going to do that on the other side as well. But be gentle. This can easily rip if you get too crazy with it. Okay? And you'll notice on the ends of each of the halves of the bow tie, there is a little square or rectangle. We're going to put glue on the back side of each of these little rectangles and then press that onto the center rectangle. There's a little rectangle in between both halves of the bow as well. So you want to press those together. We'll do the same thing on the other end. Just a little dot of glue. And then bring that in and connect the two rectangles together. Just like that. And press and hold until it's good to go. Shouldn't take long. And there's our little bow tie. I'm going to flatten this out so that it's even on both sides, and then you can go ahead and glue that down onto Mr. Gingerbread Man. I'm going to flare the two sides of his little bow tie up towards me so that only that center rectangle is making contact, and get that centered just below his head like so. And then I take the flat part of my hibachi stick and press down so that I only press down on that little rectangle and don't flatten out the bow tie even more. So there he is. And then you can see the little shadow element on here where he's going to go. And this is pearlescent going on a real glitter, not like a POW glitter or a faux glitter. So this may take a few extra moments to cure as well. So you can go a little bit heavier on the glue with that and press him into place and give that a few moments to set. I would say put this underneath your mat, but because of the bow tie, I don't think the mat's really going to help, so we do need to use our fingers to really get this in place right now. Okay. So that's pretty much complete. Okay, I'm going to put that off to the side for now. A couple more things that we can do before we get into the assembly of the actual structure. You can see we have a set of handles here. They both have little score marks on them. So go ahead and fold at the score marks and then figure out which way to connect them. Obviously it's like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply glue just to the handle part, not to the tabs. So go ahead and apply your glue to the handle. Okay, and then grab the other half and line that up. You can actually flatten out the tabs at this point. There's no glue on them, but we're going to use them just to ensure that we have it lined up correctly. Okay, so you literally should be able to take one side of it, pop it on the other one, and make the other one kind of disappear. It's right underneath it. And now we still have the tabs. We're going to use these to anchor this to the main structure here in just a moment. Okay, so that's what that should look like. But before we move on here, we're going to take this little overlay and get that glued on. So I'm going to start on the solid section here on the inside, work my way to the outside, and then just kind of hit a few of these little ribs. And I can tell now that I'm going to need to kind of dab that with my finger. I had a few little areas that were a little too thick for my liking as far as the glue goes. Okay. And we'll pop that right into place. Just like that. Make sure it's flush. Press that down. And then you can put that down on your surface and press down. And we'll flip it over and apply the other side as well. Just make sure that you've got it in the correct orientation. Again, this is this paper that I'm using for this is a white pearlescent that has the same texture and features on both sides, which you don't see very often. Even with cardstock, one side's textured, one side is smooth. Okay, and just kind of dab that for good measure so we don't make a huge mess. And pop that into place. There we go. And press that down flat. So our handle's ready to go. It's going to be like this. I did hit that with a little bit of pink ink, which I don't typically do. Anytime usually for Christmas projects, when we incorporate white glitters, I usually ink that with the blue to signify, like, you know, winter and cold. But in this case, since we have this, I guess maybe like a strawberry, or yeah, probably a strawberry whipped cream, I went with the red. All right, a few other things that we can do before we get into the main structure. We have this panel, and we have this little piece here. This is for writing your little message or stamping, whatever you want to do. We can put that on right now and just let that set. And you can use this element as a print and cut as well. If you, like myself, have lost the ability to write and you want your machine to do the writing, or if you want to do some sort of a print and cut, this is the element to do it with. Get that nice and centered on there. So that's ready to go along with the front of it. And then one other little feature that we added to this is this little peppermint lollipop. And we have two sides, and what we're going to do is we're going to create both of these and then sandwich them together with a little hibachi stick as the little, you know, the stick of the lollipop. Okay, so go ahead and apply your glue to the glitter part of our peppermint. Flip it over, press down. That looks good. I might actually, because of the white that's on there, I might take a red ink pad and just hit the edges of this to hide that white. And that works very nicely, actually, for the most part. Okay, do the same thing on the other side. And then you can sandwich this together with that hibachi stick in the center using hot glue, or you can just use regular glue. Either one will work. If you're going to use regular glue, you just want to make sure that you give it a little extra time to cure before you start jostling it around and moving it. Okay, pop that onto our white piece, like so. Get that lined up, nice and centered. Flip her over, give it a good press, like that. There we go. Okay, and then as I mentioned, you can take, if it makes it easier for you, initially at least, you can even take a little bit of Scotch tape and just pop that right onto the hibachi stick, just to kind of keep it in place. Okay, and then we'll take the other half of this and just glue it into place. Of course, it's gonna bulge a little bit, well, because we have a hibachi stick inside of it, but that's okay. So go ahead and apply your glue around the perimeter and just pop that right on there. And you're going to have to be a little patient, kind of starting up at the top and just holding that in place, and then just kind of working my way around either clockwise or counterclockwise, or both, if you can do it with both hands. And once it's kind of got somewhat of a hold, I'll start at the top and then just kind of come down. Yeah, one side's going to be a little more bulgy than the other, and that's the side that will kind of have pointing towards the back, I guess you could say. And there you go. And then you can trim this to whatever size you want to trim it to. Okay, so we are on the last leg here. We have the main pieces of our structure, and what we're going to do is take and apply glue to this tab here. Move this out of the way for a second. Get your glue going. And let's spread that out nice and thin, all the way out to the edge. And you can put this down flat like so. Grab the other end of this, and we're going to line it up just like this. Okay, press that down. You can take it and then fold it over onto itself and check that seam, make sure it's nice and straight, and continue pressing. Okay, looking good. And then I'm going to close it up by applying glue to this tab. And again, this is a very simple little structure. So as I mentioned, mostly paper piecing with a little bit of 3D. And I think, no, we got to do this in the air because of its odd shape. That's okay. Grab the other end, line this up. There we go. And just press that into place, like so. There we go. Okay, we'll take these tabs now, we can fold them down, and we're going to apply glue to these 3 tabs. Let me make sure that this is all nice and seamless first. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to take my glue here and spread it out. Well, I need a little more there. It's starting to dry up on me. Spread that out to the very edges of the tabs. Now this one's way more wet, so I'll take some of that and apply it to the other tabs. We're going to close this up. Just focus on getting it aligned with this tab here first. Pop that in place, get it nice and centered. You might need to kind of tug it towards you a tiny bit, and then take the other sides, and if you need to push them in a little bit, totally normal. And then flip it around, stick your hand in there and press down on the rest of the surface of the tabs just to make sure that they all sit nice and flush. They're all making good contact, make this thing nice and sturdy. Okay, and now what we're going to do, we have some liners for this. Okay, there are two that are the same size, one that's a little bit smaller. That smaller one's going to go in the bottom, so just throw a little bit of glue on the bottom there, grab this piece, and just drop it in there, and press down, like so. Okay, and we're going to take our handle, I'm going to squeeze these two little tabs together and pop them through these little slits, put them in as far as they'll go, and then we're going to put glue on the sides of the tabs here. So I'm just going to do a little dot on both sides. Then we're going to take and spread them out and push them up against the inside of the structure and just press and hold. I'm kind of pushing with my two fingers from the outside, pushing with two fingers on the inside to help them grab. And then we'll do the same thing there on the bottom tabs. You just need a little dot on each side. It might help to use gravity here. There we go. And just like we did before, I'll use a hibachi stick so I can illustrate this on camera. We're spreading them out and pushing them up against the inside of the structure. And then to sort of reinforce the inside and to hide those tabs, we have these panels that we're going to glue to the inside like that. So you can take and apply your glue. Just like that. And we'll slip this in. Make sure it's nice and centered. And press that into place. Go all the way down. There we go. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. And then all that work that we did, putting together the front and back, will be the last step. So we just need to glue those pieces to the front and back. Slide this little panel in, make sure it's nice and centered. You can actually put this down on your surface on this side. For this side here, you can put this down on your table and use that as kind of, well, to help you press it into place. So now we're left with this, and all that's left to do is glue this section to the front and then this section to the back. Now what I would advise here, since this kind of hangs off a little bit, we're just going to apply glue to the main structure so that we don't accidentally get glue where we don't need it. Okay, so very carefully, just work your way around the perimeter. Try to get the glue out to as far out as you can, and then throw a little extra on there. Again, using the gingerbread man as my initial guide for placement. Now, of course, this does need to be flush with the bottom as well, so double check that it is. There we go. And then you can put that down on your surface and press down. Try not to push down too much in the area where he has his little bow tie. Okay, so that is in place, looking good. And then finally, we're just going to put this on the back, and this we're going to try to get flush with the top as well as the bottom. But again, only putting glue on this surface here. Okay, take a look at that top. Should fit perfectly. It should be perfectly flush with the bottom as well. And once you have it lined up, go ahead and put that down on your surface and press down from the inside. And voila, we are all done with our cute little treat box. And once you fill it with your little gifts or whatnot, you can just pop this in there just to kind of give it a little bit of that extra little bit of charm. Oh, and by the way, let's not forget about our little heart here. I'm going to use some foam squares to add a little bit of dimension to that. Let's just use 3 just to keep it nice and sturdy. Almost forgot about our little heart. Okay, and you can see the little shadow element there where the heart goes. We'll pop that right into place. So there it is. Cute. So that is going to do it for our cocoa treat box. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please visit us on our YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. While you're there, hit the little bell so you get notifications anytime we release a new project, whether it be paid or free. And if you make this or anything from our new bundle, I would love to see it, and so would the rest of our community. So head over to your Facebook, do a search for Dreaming Tree Official. That's where you'll find myself and I think 47,000 other dreamers that post and inspire us daily. So thanks again for hanging out with me. And as always, I look forward to crafting with you again. Hey, thanks for crafting along with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, check out some of our other videos and please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to visit our site and check out our free SVG section where you'll find over 140 free SVG files complete with assembly tutorials. I'll see you in the craft room.